the most surprising optic release of 2026. That sounds clickbaity, and no doubt on a lot of channels, that probably would just be absolute clickbait. I actually mean it. I had not much even heard of Gunnr optics in the last couple years, aside from like this low power variable kind of thing that I didn't have in hand. And I had seen some stuff about this and I thought, man, that's really interesting. I spent a little time with my friend Kevin at SHOT Show this last year. And he's like, have you seen the Gunnr optics? Yeah, a little bit. I know a little bit about them, not much about this. And I started playing around with it. I looked at the manual. I played around with the optic. I looked through it the best that I could at SHOT Show. And I was really surprised. And I was like, wait a minute, how much are you charging for this? And I expected maybe about 1.5 times the price of what I heard, certainly for MSRP. But I was just really surprised at everything that was included. And I was like, well, listen, I don't want to say too much early on. I can't just praise this product for you. I got to know if it's actually going to hold up or perform, because people do take my recommendations and they go acquire those things. And so I need to be very, very sure before I say anything about it and who is it for and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to fast forward to the end for you right now and tell you, I recommend this for any application that you can think of that's practical. It is a good piece of glass. It's got great tracking, huge internal elevation, decent illumination, features are on point, and the design overall, the footprint makes a lot of sense. Now, I say that this is surprising because I just didn't see it coming from this company. There's so many brands that I had wished this last year would come out with an MPVO, like a 1 to 10, a 2 to 10, a 2 to 12, something like that, in that range with this footprint, with a 44 millimeter objective and a functional reticle. And I just found a lot of brands didn't quite get there. There's one or two in that like $3,000 price point that I really like, and they're great. I'm not saying this is going to knock them out of the market, but this is actually achievable. You can reach this on a budget, and yet it performs. Smashing job there, Gunnr Optics. I'm so pleased with this. It's sitting on a Pinty or Pinty, however you want to say it. This is a PCP. I've already reviewed this. I've got the buckrail shusher on the end, and I like this. This is really fun. I walk around with it. I've got a sling on there. I kind of made some modifications to throw a sling on. And this thing is an attack driver. It's really, really got enough power for decent hunting. I gotta tell you guys that walking, stalking hunting with this little thing is really convenient. I like it a lot. I took that shroud off and I've kept it off for a little bit. Just running a buckrail moderator on the end. It doesn't touch the barrel, it just comes close. But anyways, walking around with this little package, it is so small, it's really convenient. I'll probably put a sling stud at the very top on that rail so I can actually wear a sling with it. But even when I don't, just carrying it like this, it's so convenient. I really like it, and it's easy to take quick shots with this optic. Great low power, really good low power, and a tiny package which palms pretty well. Artillery hold, very natural. So lots of good to say about this. Even these low light hunting hours, I'm still loving the optic, and I'm loving the package. Plenty of power for putting down rabbits and critters and that sort of thing too. And now with this 2 to 12 on there, I can do everything. I have, with this optic right now, 29, it's gonna take me forever to dial out there. I have 29.5 mils of elevation inside this thing. It's 10 mils per revolution. Let's talk through some of the features real quick, just so I can get you guys on point. I'll start off in the back. Fast focus eyepiece, that's cool. You do have a magnification assist lever here, so you can rapidly go between 2 and 12 power. And even when it was cold, I did test this over the winter. Even when it was cold, it didn't seize up on me, but it is removable too. So if that's in the way, if you're running a bolt action and it's just gonna get in the way on 2 power, you can remove it, which is nice. It's good forethought on the optic. You've got a 34 millimeter tube, which is why you get so many of the other added benefits, including insane internal elevation. You have lift to operate turrets, and they're good turrets. Not the best I've ever used, but they're very, very good. And I'm wholly satisfied at the price point. So you can reset the zero as well as set a zero stop, and you have a dual revolution indicator, a dual revolution. So for your first round of 10, it's gonna pop up, and then you hit the 20, it's gonna pop up again with a second signature color. In there you have a parallax that goes all the way up to infinity, and the lowest that you can get is 10 yards, which again is great for PCP work or tactical applications for some people. The reticle actually makes sense at the full range of magnification. That is just hard to do. I'm just going to say flat out, I didn't see this coming. I didn't know that there would be that much execution that went right with this optic at this price point. So super cool. Like I said, illumination is pretty good, runs on a standard 2032 battery. Now, one thing I will say is the parallax, although it's smooth and not gritty, it's just slightly firmer than I like it to be, but only slightly, not a lot, slightly firmer. I'm trying to find a critique just so I can be honest here. When it comes to the turrets, they are both lift to operate. They're very consistent. Resetting the 0 is no trouble at all. The turret cap goes on. It fits on precisely, like the machining was done super well with this optic. The competition to this, I think, is going to be the Athlon 2-12, and I like this by far better than the Athlon 2-12. That one's a 30 millimeter. This is a 34. I know that we're slightly, it's different enough specifications wise where some people are going to say you can't compare those two. Well, I can, and I did. I like this so much more than the Athlon 2-12. What else could I maybe nitpick? The turret feel, I think it's a pretty good feel. It's a little bit more on the smoother side of feel. So indexing a single tenth, I can hear it, I can feel it. I don't think there's a bunch of backlash, but it's not as crunchy as some turrets are. It's a little bit more thuddy. And it reminds me of, let's say, the Bushnell Elite turrets. It reminds me a little bit of the Match Pro turrets in that way. But maybe a little better even. A little better than the Match Pro. Light collection has been phenomenal with the optic. It looks pretty good in low light. The illumination is fantastic. It's better than I expected, and it's fully functional for me, day or night. It's been fully functional for what I need. The footprint works pretty good on a PCP, but I'm going to be just equally at home on a rimfire, which I think this will move over to a rimfire. One of my hunting, like my best rimfires, it'll probably go over there. And like I said, huge internal elevation. I still don't know how far I can take this rifle because it's been blizzards every other weekend. I want to know, what does 29.5 mils look like with this PCP? Because the PCP could probably do okay if I get the right pellet, but the optic looks pretty good. I have dialed this out to max range and just looked at 600 yards, and it wasn't foggy. It wasn't milky. And remember, I'm on a 0 MOA rail, guys. That's what's really impressive. This isn't on a 40 MOA rail. It's on a 0 MOA rail. So that just, it blows my mind. I don't know what to say about this other than bravo to Gunnr. This is probably going to be one of their best sellers. That'd be my guess. They have other ones. They have higher magnification optics as well and some lower. But this is so perfect for so many applications. UPCP guys, rimfire guys, and centerfire DMR setups. This is really something you should look at, and you don't have to take my word for it. Go read the specs. Look at what they're saying online. These have been designed so well, and that's why I say this is probably one of the greatest surprises of 2026 so far. Didn't see it coming, and I'm so glad I'm looking through one now because I'm pleased with the execution. Let's take a look at that reticle. Now, for those of you who like to shoot on lower power with great field of view, awesome thing about this is the illumination is fantastic. You get the center dot as well as this, and the actual size, although I don't have a graphic to show you of what the size of these are, I'm going to say it's pretty bold, it's easy to see, makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't obstruct my field of view with this out here. So you just have this lateral line across, you get 10 mils. I've actually held 10 mils before, and remember, this thing has crazy internal elevation. You can get like 60 plus mils. Whether you like the breakups for the hashes or not in a mil scale reticle like this, that's going to be up to different people's preferences. For me, I'm just going to dial most of the time or hold and be ballpark for a lot of hunting applications. It's okay if I'm off a tenth or two if it's just in this region, and if I'm going beyond this and I'm shooting at something, especially in hunting, beyond 3 mils, then I'm going to go to probably dialing to get a more precise figure, and I'm going to be taking my time for that shot. But it's really cool to be able to see the reticle on low power and high power. And I think this has auto sleep or something like that, if I remember right. It comes with some extras. You get these things in the package. And then if I can just show you, here's what you're looking at. This is what it looks like. And the second ring of illumination, when you're on 2 power, you've got this giant ring out here, which generally just it works. It helps, I should say, for really quick shooting. So here's your big ring. If you have something running up on you, you're shooting boars or just a fast moving animal, take a look at that. That is really easy to grab onto. And then you have that center red, which still glows. It's kind of like a red dot, but the big ring is what you're probably going to be using really fast, quick shots on bigger game. Then as you magnify, it's going to kind of disappear. Here's where you're at by 6 power. And on 8 power, it's totally gone with that second exterior ring. But you have a miniature version of it. And by the time you're up to 12 power, it's going to look really good. And we'll move on from there. Here's the actual look of the scope, if you couldn't tell in the video. So it's a pretty nicely finished off scope. Looks really good. Let's run through the specifications quick. So yes, it's 2 to 12, 34 millimeter, 10th click, and then it's advertising 65 mils of internal elevation. I have got to put that to the test. I haven't had a chance yet because I have not run it on much of a steep base, but I have to find out if I can run 65. That's just insane. It could be super cool to see that actually work. If I even get 50 mils out of this and it still looks good without being milky, I'm going to be so impressed. You're looking at 3.9 inches of eye relief, and absolutely that's true. 11 levels of illumination, or brightness, I should say. Battery life is going to be 5,000 hours, and you can get down to 10 or 15 yards, right around there, with the parallax. And your net weight is 27 ounces. And for what this optic gives you, I'm very happy with that. And for a 2 to 12, 11 inches is probably competitive with some companies, but the price point, I will allow for that 12.5. That doesn't bother me at all, because this is a great price point for an ED image. Remember, this is an ED image, so well done on this optic, Gunnr. I think this is absolutely a home run. Yeah, this is it's probably the only way I could be comfortable shooting downhill while needing to shoot a little bit higher, is using a bipod. A backpack usually just doesn't have enough in it to make the shot work.